This is the OTP. I'm Amy Wells, and we are joined by a real cast of characters on this edition of the OTP. We've got all of Titans Radio here. Of course, Taylor Zarzour, have to have him in the room. Coach Mack is here. Will Bowling, who will be on the sidelines this season, and, of course, the great Rhett Bryan. All are here because we just wrapped up Titans practice at Nissan Stadium. And Titans Radio was doing some broadcasting during that practice, and so it feels important to talk about it. But I want to preface this thing a little bit, because here we are, all five of us, broadcasters with a lot to say. This is five loquacious people
yes.
on one podcast. So I am going to just lob up some questions, and I want to hear everybody's answer. But this is going to be herding cats, and I'm okay with it. Are you guys down for what could be the craziest podcast that you guys
Can
have
I ask a question?
In? Yes, Mac, you may.
Is loquacious good or bad?
Loquacious is good most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah.
Amy, I have two words. Let's go.
There it is.
Did you notice how they've separated Rhett and you, and they put Will in between you?
Well, Will's not much of a barrier.
No, I'm really not.
It's not.
I'm really not.
I think that there's a chance that you might get it back 20 minutes later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens here. I'm honestly not super optimistic, but we're gonna see. We're gonna see where this lands. So to start, I just want everybody's reaction from the stadium practice today, because it was our first time in Nissan Stadium. It's the first time a lot of these Titans players were in Nissan Stadium, and there's a lot of things that they're able to accomplish in a training camp practice that looks a lot different from what they usually get. So Taylor, I'll start with you. What stood out to you about the practice today?
The energy. Just constantly, that's what I've noticed the first few days of training camp and what we saw in mini camp and rookie camp. You've got a guy in Cam Ward who is acting like a veteran. He does not act like a rookie at all. There is just this attitude of let's get to work all the time. Calvin Ridley, it's his 7th year in the league, and the guy really wants to play in a regular season football game right now. Just a ton of that. And Cody Barton at linebacker. You look across the Titans, and there is just a ton of passion that is on that football field right now. So, you don't always get that, Amy, when you come off a 3-14 season, but when you have so many new faces that are with the Titans, I think off of the field we feel that it feels like a new time for the Titans. And you certainly can sense that on the field, too.
Well, I mean, I've been to every practice since the draft. And this group is a new group. It's a very focused group. The draft choices that they made came into this with a very mature mindset. You've got very few guys that have got a whole load of foolishness that they've got to unload before they become professionals. That's the one thing. I thought the fan engagement was great. Players feel that, regardless of the number of people that were out there. But this was a nice step for this group. We saw some things, some people. I'm going to talk about, and I know we'll talk about some certain players, but I was really, really impressed with James Williams. I mean, the young linebacker, I watched linebackers very close, and he made he made some really instinctive plays today.
Yeah, he had a pick.
Well, and not only that, he was at the right place at the right time, and you can tell that Frank Bush has done a great job with him. He's done a great job because, you know this, he comes from the U, but he was a safety coming in here. But the transition that he's made, and that's going to be the mantra, I think, of this. This is going to be a young football team. But you saw some young guys today out there that showed up, that did some things. And the other thing is the practice was very, very well organized. Very organized. I mean, it went like clockwork. I know Amy and Will were on the sideline, keeping us on track, but they were right on point with what was going on, and that's a credit to this coaching staff and the players too, knowing that they had to work.
You could feel that energy down on the field, and I think your point about James Williams, Coach, Brian Callahan said this past week to the media, he has made leaps and bounds and made major strides since last season. We've spoken about this a lot through the offseason, Mac. Getting coaching from Frank Bush is almost the defensive equivalent of being an offensive lineman under Bill Callahan. And the teaching that you're getting from Frank and the ability of James Williams to just be a sponge and play next to Cody Barton, who had another good practice again today, had an interception earlier this week in the second practice of camp. You can tell there's some momentum. You can tell there's energy. And all the interceptions made against the ones thrown by Cam Ward have been by inside linebackers. through this training camp so far by Cody Barton and by James Williams.
Well, you make a great point about Frank Bush, and I'll just, for full disclosure, I've coached with Frank for a lot of years, and he has become not only here but just known in the coaching circles. He's the OG of linebacker coaches. He really is, and you can see the difference that he makes with these players when he has a chance to get his hands on them.
Back Together weekend was a little different for obvious reasons. We have personnel changes here, but there's a couple of good takeaways from this. Eye on the present with a look at the future. As we looked out of Booth 7, you can see the steel topped out at new Nissan Stadium, 90-plus feet above the light bar stanchions at current Nissan Stadium. And you're thinking about this team is about where that is in an analogy. They're building from the ground up. 2024 was rough, and there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's hope. It's going to take a while, but there's a lot of young fellas out there making a difference. And the other thing was, I was just watching the running backs. Tony Pollard already doing Tony Pollard things. He is a seasoned veteran and a pro. But Tajay Spears had a Murphy's Law kind of year. Anything that could happen did, on and off the field. And between that and then a couple of concussions and a hamstring that kept him out of games, that young man has shown up every day. One of the first ones out there to do it. And you can tell he is stacking days. Now, next week is going to be different because we're going to bring in the pads part of this. We're going to see some things happen and really start to evaluate and look at things. But Kalel Mullings, the last pick in this year's draft, the converted linebacker that's a running back from Michigan, another one that you should keep your eye on, and a big back option. Of course, Julius Chestnut just keeps hanging around and doing what he's supposed to do in this because he knows this offense as well.
You can
Amy, can I just say something?
yeah, here we go.
Full disclosure on Rhett Bryan. He's got a T-shirt with Tajay Spears' face on it. It's true. So anything that's going to happen, he did. I mean, you remember us getting ready for the draft, and he was beside himself with Tajay Spears. He had a man crush on him all the way from Tulane. All the way.
That is well earned.
Let me tell you something, okay?
I'm talking. So it doesn't surprise me that he brings him up.
Look, you're the head coach of this operation, okay? And, maybe I'm the quarterback, which means I'm going to be in your ear a lot. You got to give the guy credit for what he just said about the team in relation to the stadium. That was impressive. I mean, and
a great
I kind of got
analogy.
chills as he said it. Could you give him some credit for
Bryan
that?
is one of the pillars of Titans radio.
You know what? I've been trying to find the best way to describe just where the Titans are right now, and I think Rhett nailed it.
Yeah. I think it was a very good visual and love keeping it in the Titans family. I think you can tell that this team is ready to play football,
Yes.
real football.
This team or that team?
Well, that team
All of
too,
the
maybe.
above.
I don't
All of the
know.
above, yes.
Construction seems hard. You can tell that they are definitely in a place where they're tired of just acting it out. They're tired of making sure they're in the right place and maybe going fast, but not being able to do the football things. Putting pads on is going to be really big for this team, I think. And then that first joint practice in Tampa against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think is going to be a little rowdy.
Well,
and I'm really excited about
yeah,
that.
and I mean, the other day, Coach Callahan was saying that to you, Will.
Yeah,
he was
right.
like, can we please put some pads on?
I think this coaching staff is also just eager to see how players in the trenches on both sides raise their level with the added physicality. And the added level of physicality for a Femi Oladejo in his first training camp, for a new offensive line working together. I mean, you look at J.C. Latham looks like a different human being on the right side of this offensive line. How does he kind of drive this new car that he's got to drive right now in kind of a new shape and a new frame and a new body? He's not got a big supercharged truck. He's got a little bit more horsepower maybe to be able to last and be the best version of himself in November and December this year. But the first step of that, understanding how to use that frame and still throw that weight around a little bit. I'm fascinated to see it. I know this coaching staff is as well.
Well, Matt can speak on this. He always tells us in great fashion multiple times a year, keep your powder dry.
Multiple times
But,
a day.
there have been no pads put on yet. But when Brian Callahan tells Will and I, man, I cannot wait for pads to come on. there's a lot of things he's looking for to see where this team is and to see where these individuals are. What's he looking for? What's he talking about?
Well, look, there's a real sting that is on you as a professional when you only win 3 games in the National Football League. That takes a lot out of you. It does. The coaches and players, fans, everybody that was here. So what you're looking for is to be able to cleanse that. And the only way you do that, I love the fact he was very, very forward-thinking when he scheduled 2 practices against opponents on the road. He wants to make these guys as uncomfortable as possible, because the quickest way to mature a player in this league is put them in uncomfortable situations and see how they react.
Yeah, and I love that you just referenced that, and you were just talking about how critical the next couple of weeks are going to be. I think we've all learned in the last few years that those joint practices are more important than anything else that you do in the preseason. The games are great. It's great to be out here and see the team, but you have seen in the last few years, especially with the first team, that every team in the National Football League is being more protective of those players in the games. In the practices, though, in the joint scrimmages with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which they'll do a couple of times, they'll have a full padded scrimmage, really, practice, joint scrimmage with the Bucks, and then they'll have a walkthrough with them, and then they'll do the same thing with the Falcons over the course of a few days. I think we're going to really learn who the Tennessee Titans are by the time this team comes back to play the Vikings for that last preseason game.
Well, the thing about it is the joint practice, they'll do everything but take them to the ground. Now, that's number one. It's going to be full thud. It's full thud. But what you are looking for, especially with a young football team, is how do they react to a different environment and a different colored jersey.
Yeah.
And the other thing, the reason you do it, you've only got 3 preseason games now. And this now gives you basically 2 extra preseason games. And the fact that you're going into it with 90 players apiece, you can afford to do some things pad-wise. I mean, if you were taking a 43-man roster in there, you wouldn't do it.
Right.
But you've got 90 people on each side. So that's what the league is morphing to now. With 3 preseason games, you're seeing more and more of it.
Taylor, the way this thing has shifted over the years is that the preseason games are for operational logistical things, especially for first-year players. But this roster has so many new faces. So putting that together and being able to go into the locker room, knowing it's 13 minutes, come back out, warm up, do your thing. But those joint practices is where you can get the calluses on top of the bruises.
100%.
This summer, SeatGeek has your ticket to the best live concerts in Nashville at Nissan Stadium. SeatGeek has the best seat, your seat, for an unforgettable summer. From rock royalty to rap superstars, R&B to country, find it all on SeatGeek, the official ticketing partner of Nissan Stadium. Little Caesars is the official pizza partner of your Tennessee Titans. Download the Little Caesars app and get your favorites delivered today. Delivery fees apply. Now, back to the OTP. What's a position that you guys are all excited about watching as we go into a little bit more of a physical phase of training camp? Taylor, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm really interested in the pass rush. I don't know that that's a position. I guess outside linebacker / defensive end is what I'm really looking at. And I think that anyone would tell you that the Tennessee Titans need to improve everywhere, but that's where they really need to improve. If you look at 2 years ago, the Houston Texans were in a similar spot to where the Titans are now, where they were the second pick in the draft, but they only won a couple of games. They were rock bottom in the National Football League. They went out and got C.J. Stroud, and everybody talks about how quickly they went to the playoffs. Will Anderson was just as big a reason why they went to the playoffs, because he's very quickly become one of the best pass rushers in the National Football League. So my questions going in right now are, who are those guys? Is Arden Key able to be that? Is Jeffrey Simmons, now that he's lost 10, 15 pounds, we saw this a few times today, Rhett. You hit me a couple times. Hey, look, there's Simmons on the edge. We're going to move Jeff Simmons around some now. So are we going to see Simmons affect the quarterback around the tackle instead of maneuvering around guards? I'm looking forward to seeing that. Jones is another one. There are a number of options that the Titans have from the pass rush standpoint, but I'm really looking forward to watching what they do there in the next few weeks.
I want to see the offensive line.
Okay.
And I want to see the offensive line with somebody across the line of scrimmage trying to break their face. Because that's what I want to see, because that's going to be critical for this football team. I think they've done some rearranging in the offseason to help that, but now those guys have got to come together. They've got to come together. And look, Tampa Bay is a really good NFC football team, really good NFC football team. And Todd Bowles is a really good defensive coach. That's how he made his bones in this league. So he's going to have those guys on that side of it gunned up. I want to see the Titans' offensive line stand up to that test early. That's going to be important.
I'll go a little bit outside the box for this one. What about the added physicality of wide receivers going up against corners that are going to want to be physical against them? And you talk about that Todd Bowles defense and some of the DBs that will challenge this receiving group. They've got 13 receivers that are battling, and there are not a lot of guaranteed spots at that position. You know what you're getting from Calvin Ridley here early. I think it's a big point of emphasis, of course, for Calvin Ridley, who didn't have his first 100-yard game last season until the Detroit game, to really hit the ground running with Cam Ward. But who else? There are a lot of spots up for grabs there. How Tyler Lockett is deployed, I think, is something that's really interesting as a slot receiver, as an outside receiver, where I think he was more outside than what people really give him credit for the last couple of seasons in Seattle. But Alec Ayamaner continues to really impress me, and he is someone who I think almost like a power forward, putting somebody on the low block, able to box out a defensive back for a jump ball, especially in the red zone. We keep seeing him flash. I want to see him continue to take those steps with the pads on, with the added physicality against those Tampa and Atlanta DBs.
I'll piggyback off of that, Will, because you're exactly right. I want to see the smoothest player so far before pads has been Alec Ayamaner in that group. I want to see what that smoothness looks like now that the pads are on. I also want to see what gear and speed that Chimere DK can achieve with that gear on. But you took mine, but that's good.
Okay.
That's good. You're on the right track. I want to see
He took
the
my
DBs.
player, too. You can't have him. Now Ayamaner's mine, so you have to pick another
I'll stop reading y'all's minds. I'll get out now.
I want to see the secondary in pads. I want to see Jarvis Brownlee in year 2, who learned a lot of lessons and continues to have a nice camp to begin. I want to see Kevin Winston Jr. in pads back there, and let's see Roger McCrary in year 4. Those guys are going to be heavily relied upon. We know what Amani Hooker can do, but I want to see that young secondary against these wide receivers in Tampa, and they've got some good ones in Atlanta too.
Yeah,
well,
really.
that's a great point, because Tampa Bay has got some dudes at wide receiver. Yep. And they're physical players. I mean, they've got generational players there at the wide receiver. So that's always going to be that. I like that point.
Mike Evans going to have a gold jacket.
Yeah, and so that's going to be important to see how these guys measure up down there.
Yeah, and going back to what Coach Mack said about the offensive line, excited to get Cushenberry back, Lloyd Cushenberry, the center. At some point, you would think in the next few weeks, he is vital to that offensive line and the development there around the guards and around the tackles that you're so impressed by. Are you allowed to have one too?
Well, okay, so every single one of them I've written down, I've then had to cross off.
Okay.
Because
You
you
already
all
had it?
keep taking mine. I was really excited about the offensive line, and then Mac blew it out of the water. Then,
Well, you're running this. You should have gone first.
Well, yeah, but I'm trying to be a good host.
Well,
I
you're
was excited
gracious.
about receivers, and then, I mean, Will did a great job with that, and Matt kind of followed up there. And then the secondary was my other one, and that, I mean, so you guys covered it.
Can I talk about the kickers?
If you must.
This is like the first time you've done this. You don't usually like to talk
Well,
about the kickers.
Yes,
Special
you may
teams is a
talk
big
about
deal.
After
it.
you watch Joey slide.
No, let's get this straight.
Oh, no. Here it comes.
I've always liked kickers. I don't know a damn thing about it.
Got it. Understood.
Okay.
And I admitted it, okay? But these dudes that we've got right now, Johnny Hecker, to me, is one of the best at it.
Yes.
Morgan Cox, we know what he is. And if Great Job Sly keeps banging them through like that, that was massive. You could tell the way you two were on the sideline.
It was a thud.
How did his team react to that?
Pretty dang excited.
Yeah. Yeah. And
It's a
you
weapon.
do raise a good point, Mac, as much as I am reluctant to talk about special teams from time to time. this is really going to be a phase of the Titans game that is going to be completely different this year. New head coach, a lot of new faces in that phase of the game. The specialists, other than the long snapper, are different. So there's a lot of new there. Okay, so how do they take it from kind of idea in the classroom to execution? And, I mean, it's an incredibly physical part of the game. So how is that going to continue to evolve? And how are they going to continue to find the competitive advantage within some rules that are still pretty new, too?
Yeah,
that's a great point.
Good point.
And look, complementary football in this league, when you're playing on the margins, which this team's going to play on the margins for a while because it's young, special teams has got to be a complement. Special teams can't be something that is a hindrance to your field position metrics, to your scoring opportunities, to those things. And that's the beauty of Bones Fossil. I mean, I've been with him from the start and have seen him do this with, 2 free agent kickers, with guys just off the street. I mean, the guy's really good, but he gets the players to buy into it. And that's a huge part, because most of the special teams players in this league come into it. They've been starters everywhere else. They've been the dude. They've been the guy. And all of a sudden now, special teams. I mean, special teams, they're thinking of our high school days or the college days where the special teams were just the Roys, the rest of y'all. That's what
I was thinking rookie of the year.
Yeah. All right. That's what
y'all.
I'm from West Texas.
Not rest of you, rest of y'all.
Of course,
Well,
West
that
Texas.
certainly works in Tennessee. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So, anywho.
Don't and include returners on that as well.
Look, the whole thing. No, the coverage, the protection.
Yeah.
You saw him working those protection drills today down there with those ropes. I mean, he doesn't leave anything unturned. I promise you. I just sat in too many of his meetings. So, to Amy's point, it's a big, big part that can help an offense and a defense that are trying to find themselves, at least don't get in the way.
Go back to TennesseeTitans.com. Go scroll down, look in the video section from Thursday's practice. At the end of practice, there was a huddle up with wide receiver Bryce Oliver. You can tell me about how important special teams is. It's the first thing he spoke about. He's passionate about it. He wants to get better at it. Yes, he said, yes, I want to be a bigger part of this wide receiver group and make a play when my number's called, but I love playing special teams. I love being a gunner. I love the physicality of it. That is exactly what Bones Fossil's looking for, and that when he had his first availability after he was hired, he said, I need all the things, the earmarks you're talking about as a Titan, but I need a little crazy in there. Well, that's what that is.
It's 100%.
So what players are you guys excited about watching as we go forward here?
You
I
go
want
first.
you to name a couple names. I am not going
You go
first.
first.
You
You want
should.
me
You're
to
hosting.
Go first?
No, you're the
You've been gracious. Do it.
Everybody's
Okay.
stolen your
You're-
pick, so you get to go
You're the
first.
boss, and you were a little bit upset because everybody took yours.
Well, everybody
And
took
so-
mine.
You're the POE,
I
the
was trying
president
to
of
be
everything,
kind.
right?
I'm just
That's
telling
right.
you, if I was the boss, I'd go first.
You
Go.
are. She is the president of everything when
She
it
is.
comes to the Tennessee Titans and our broadcast team.
None of it works until she comes to work. Go.
Well, I don't know about any of that, but I will say a player that I'm really excited about watching as this continues, and this is going to feel like the cheating answer, but it's Cam Ward. And the reason it's Cam
good.
Ward is because he's processing an incredible amount of information, and he's got a lot of things that are going through his brain right now. But he seems to have a pretty good grasp on what's going on as things stand right now. When they're playing against air for the most part, when no one can get hit, when we're not going full speed, full aggression, full out. So now being able to ramp it up and have it go to the next level. Okay, how does he rise to that next level? How does he continue to improve? How does he continue to see things the way that he needs to be seeing them and continue to adjust his game to this next level? So kind of a cop-out answer because everybody wants to watch Cam Ward, but there's a development factor to it that I'm interested
But,
in.
Amy, what number does he wear?
One.
You start with that.
Yeah.
There it is.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a cop-out, and, just go with the obvious, and that's what you did, and I think that everybody is interested. All right, Rhett gets to go next because all his people
First of
are
all, Amy, you did a better job than any of us explaining who you wanted to go. That's perfect.
Well, thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
You're very friendly today.
If it was
This
bad,
is
I'd tell
lovely.
you. I'd tell you if it was bad too.
Hey Titans fans, with a Kroger Boost membership, you'll score big with double fuel points, free delivery, and lots more. Go to Kroger.com/boost for details. Kroger, the official grocer of the Tennessee Titans. Tighten up. Home is the forefront of all we do. It's why we're so committed to caring for the places and spaces in which we work and live. Ashley, the official furniture provider of the Tennessee Titans. Now, back to the OTP.
I'll go back to the secondary, and in particular safety at Kevin Winston Jr., the 82nd overall pick from Penn State. Suffers a knee injury at State College last September, and that young man stayed here all summer from the time that they broke mandatory minicamp and the 5 weeks that led up to the start of training camp in the last few days. He said he took the 1 hour flight north to go home a couple of times, but Monday through Friday, Saturday, most of those times, he was in the building watching film, continuing to learn the playbook, continuing his treatment, so that when he reported 100% healthy and not on the physically unable to perform list. Big, long, physical safety that can help this Titans defense. Looks good in a uniform for sure, but you can tell he has all chips into the middle of the table. I want to see him in pads to see what he can do.
All right, well.
That's where I was going to go, too. So now I'm going to think of another one as well. But just real quick on Kevin Winston Jr.
Looks healthy, too, Will.
He does look healthy, and I think he looks like what a Titan is going to start to look more like moving forward in terms of lean, athletic, team captain at Penn State. You think that means something for a program that was not far away from winning a national championship last year in college football? I mean, that's an honor for him, but someone that you would have given a little bit of grace to have an acclimation period. He has hit the ground running and made it look like he was here on the field for all of minicamp and OTAs as well. I'm going to go to the offensive line and Dan Moore, because I think for all of the guys we've talked about on both sides of the ball, for J.C. Latham and Jeffrey Simmons transforming their bodies a little bit, Dan Moore comes in as maybe one of the most valuable players on this team. And right at the beginning of free agency, Mike Bergonzi, Chad Brinker in this front office made him a priority to say, if we're going to have a young quarterback, if we're going to bring in and trust and invest in Cam Ward in our future, we need somebody to protect him. And I think for Dan, the sky's really the limit for him. And it's so rare to find a tackle in free agency in their mid-20s who has the upward mobility and ceiling of Dan Moore. He is a unicorn in a really good way. Heck, Coach, as much as you guys and you as Titans Radio's head coach planning for the draft, how many tackles are coming out of the draft that are 24 and 25 years old, the way college football is right now? Dan Moore is not far away from that at all. There's still so much growth still to be had in his career.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good one, because that's been a sore spot for this football team, a real sore spot. And that's and the other caveat that he does have, I always go to the offensive line first, because the precision coaching of Bill Callahan is amazing. And Dan Moore needs to soak that up. You're right.
Who's your player?
James Williams.
Okay.
Okay.
Still James Williams.
Yep.
Okay.
Who's yours?
Olawafemi Oladejo. Femi, number 7 for the Tennessee Titans. You know, I mentioned the pass rush, and I did not mention him when I went through the pass rush a minute ago, but he very quickly could become a big-time part of what the Titans are doing on defense in 2025. And we talked about the energy and the enthusiasm. This guy carries himself with a ton of passion. And you were just talking, Will, about the kind of Titan moving forward that we're going to see. We're going to see, a leaner, more quick player, but I also think you're going to see a ton of people that bring leadership to the Titans. You see that the Titans have seemed to lean in on that this offseason, that they want glue guys. They want guys that are loud, that are vocal, that all have a ton of energy when they come to practice, and Oladejo does. I will say he's looked really good without pads on. Coach Callahan the other day was like, just settle down a little bit, okay, man? Let's wait until Dan Moore and J.C. Latham get to put their hands on Femi with everybody having pads on. But so far, it's been a lot of fun. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, and now that I'm telling you I've done it, I don't know if you're going to let me do it again. But I've gone to the other side of the practice field in the middle of, the defense, just because I want to feel as much as I can here in year one. And I stood next to Femi for about 20 minutes on Thursday, and I was just blown away by this guy's motor. They kept telling him to come out of the lineup, and he'd get mad. And he'd say, you get 2 more plays, and then you're coming out. Coach, give me a third play. Give me a third play. It's unreal watching this guy. And then after practice, he grabs number 98, Jeffrey Simmons, and he says, Jeff, I have some questions for you. And for 10 minutes, he was grilling Jeff on certain moves that he's trying to make inside and outside when you're trying to shoot the A gap or the B gap or go around the C. Like he was asking him all these questions. I love high energy guys, if you can't tell, and he's got it.
I'm going to take another one because it's my show.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
And Cody Barton. There is nobody on the field that is having more fun than Cody Barton. He has been a free agent addition that's going to make an immediate impact on this Titans team. And it's so much fun to watch him kind of bring that joy, that excitement, and that, consistent performance to the field every single day. And so watching him grow and continue to get comfortable with the people around him, with Denard's scheme and what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball, I think he's going to be a really fun guy to watch. So now I have 2.
Good for you.
Cody Barton's my other one. All right, does anybody have any final thoughts as we wrap things up here from the suite level at Nissan Stadium? Bueller?
Let's get pads on.
Yeah.
Let's do that. And, of course, it's just right in time for the Mid-South to have its hottest week of the year. It kind of times up perfectly. But, yeah, I'm ready to see that next turn that page and see what's ahead in this and see who separates themselves from the pack in some of these position battles. And Will mentioned the wide receivers, like who comes out of all of that. James Williams, when he puts on those pads going in year 2, Cedric Gray for sure, who missed so much time with a shoulder last year. There's so many storylines. We got plenty to go around.
Yeah, we do. The vertical routes. Fun to see some vertical routes today inside Nissan Stadium, and some of the deep balls to Calvin Ridley, and some of the off-script stuff from Cam Ward that the acclimation period of the first 2 practices didn't afford us the luxury of seeing quite as much. And hamstrings and vertical routes sometimes don't go together. So those things, you want to keep the hamstrings intact. You want to build up to some of the vertical plays and vertical routes off script. As these guys get more acclimated, get more comfortable, seeing Cam Ward cook a little bit off script and late in plays. We got a glimpse of that. He's quite the showman with the fans in the stadium. He raised the level up a little bit, and I think there's a couple more notches he's got left here in training camp.
I thought Taylor Zarzar raised it up when he was getting the crowd going.
Yeah.
That's what. Look, the way you judge a football team before the season even starts is what type of work did they do in the 5 weeks that they were gone. That's what you look for as a coach, because you know what's going on when you've got them in the building and then they're in a structured environment. Now, what type of a mental mindset do you have as a football team when you see how they come back when they've been on their own? This group came back looking really, really fit. They're ready. They were ready. That to me is a great sign for a young team. Because a lot of times the young ones still don't know until they get hit in the face with reality that they'll be gone if they don't do it right. These guys, this whole team in mass, and I was talking to Mike Borgonzi about it on the field. I said, this team just looks in good condition. I mean, just the 30-year coach's eyeball test, I went, whoa. But you look for that, and so I think we're on a good path.
The identity of the Tennessee Titans has changed in 2025. The last 3 years were unacceptable. Everybody in the organization couldn't tolerate it anymore, and they said, we are going to change our identity, and we are going to build something on the football field that is going to make everyone proud. And now there is something consistent that is happening with the Titans from an energy level on the field. You and I were privileged to be in some meetings this past week that talked about that. And off of the field, there is that same kind of energy that's going on. Everybody in the building right now is committed to the same thing, playing for championships and creating passion. And it's going to take Titans fans to be part of that too. But I just want to tell you, as a newbie here, as a rookie, as somebody that feels like they're going to school again and should take a picture on the front steps right now, which my wife tried to make me do and I did not agree to do earlier this week. I am just really blown away by the culture shift here. And everybody should be really proud of that and excited, because winning championships is a whole lot of fun, but watching those championships be built in the right way might be even more fun than that, and it feels like that's what's happening right now.
Well, there is still a lot of fun to be had in a variety of different ways, and here at the OTP, we'll take you along for every step of the way. So for Rhett Bryan, for Will Bowling, for Coach Mack, for Taylor Zarzer, and for me, Amy Wells, thanks for listening to the OTP.